Everybody, it's your least favorite what if YouTuber coming back at you again with another banger upon bangers. Today, I got a special one for y'all. So now y'all gotta peep game and lock in. So, how we doing? Guys, I'm on spring break. So, I'm gonna try, emphasis on that word right there, and upload a video a day. Is it gonna be successful? Maybe. Do I hope to do it? Yes. Do I hope you all enjoy my spring break and these videos? Yes. Um, but with that being said, why would I keep wasting y'all's time when I know what y'all came here for? Not for me yammering, that's for sure. So let's get straight into what if Deku had a Phoenix Fire quirk. Now, let's roll that intro.
Yeah, bitch so bad I wanna shoot like hoops. I'm riding in the coupe. I got what you want, it ain't nothing but a loop. Don't listen to friends, they don't know what's best for you. Yeah, I want you, yeah, bad I wanna shoot like hoops. I'm riding in the coupe. I got what you want, it ain't nothing but a loop. Don't listen to friends, they don't know what's best for you. Yeah, I want you.
Welcome in to the show. Everybody, go get you some snacks. Go get you some water. Make sure you guys eat some real food today, though. And yes, I'm standing up walking around because I enjoy not sitting down all day. So, everybody, go get your snacks. Go get you that crispy those crispy Doritos. Get you water, stay hydrated. Now, we're going back to the old days. And by old days, I literally mean like a year or two ago. Like, not even. So, I'm doing this with no script today, so if it's a little choppy, just give me like a little benefit of the doubt. Regardless, I think it's gonna be a banger today. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So we actually are going to start our story off, not where I typically do with the birthing aspect. We're actually going to start our story off with a 4-year-old Izuku and Bakugo with also a 4-year-old Burnin, who are all playing together at the park. They're having fun, and all of a sudden, Burnin, her quirk unlocks, and how Burnin looks, her fire just goes crazy. So she's setting people on fire, like she's like almost burning people, and Deku's like, what the heck? And Bakugo and Deku are like trying to calm her down to stop her fire from going everywhere, and finally Bakugo, like in the heat of it, he feels his hands getting really sweaty in the heat, and he accidentally pops explosions in his hands. He's like, what the heck? And he's adding to the fire. So Deku was like, what? Oh my gosh, I have 2 friends with fire quirks. What do you mean? So actually, and then during all of this, he's like, all right, everybody just calm down. And he puts his hands down, and like, y'all know the Adam Warlock, the don't be rash now. He does that, and he's like, all right guys, calm down, let's not be rash. So doing this, he actually unlocks his quirk, and it's fire control. And he realizes that what with his calm nature, he's actually calming down the fire. But then whenever he's getting energetic, the fire is ramping up. So he takes a deep breath and he controls the fire to a minimum. And he actually helps Burnin to control her power a little bit more. And Bakugo's like, whoa, Izu, that was really cool. How'd you do that? And he's like, I don't really know. And he's like, I don't really know. I guess I can control fire. And he thinks that's the bare minimum of his quirk right now. And then he goes home and he's talking to Inko and he's like, Mommy, I unlocked my quirk today. I can control fire, see? And he points to the burner on the stove and he turns it off. And she's like, well, honey, that's really cool. But like, let's not do that because you might set the house on fire. So she relights the burner really fast so that way the gas doesn't escape all over the house. Now, Deku, he eats dinner with his mom, and they're talking about it, and she's like, I figured you'd have a fire quirk. I'm happy you can control it, because, your fire's a fire breather, and I levitate things, so it's really cool. You can control fire. It's like if my levitation were to control your father's fire. And he's like, yeah, it's really cool. But that's not the extent of his powers, guys. So she sets an appointment for the Quirk doctor in a week. Oh, and at school the next day, they're all talking, and Deku's like, "Oh yeah, I watched this really cool. I read this really cool comic yesterday. It was the Fantastic Four. It was actually really cool. My favorite guy is Johnny. He goes flame on." And as he does it, he pumps his fist into the ground, and his entire body gets coated in these red, orange, and blue flames. And he's like, "Whoa, what is this? What is this? Help!" And the teacher grabs a fire extinguishing him, and he's like, "Whoa. Not only can I control fire, I can flame on like Johnny." And he's like talking to Burnin and Bakugo, and they're all happy for him and Burnin especially because she has a very similar quirk to him, the flame body aspect of it, not the Phoenix aspect. So as he's going about, and he actually trips and falls. He busts his nose open, and he's like, "Oh, that really hurt." And in this form of heightened emotions, his flame on activates again, and he's like, "Whoa." And he notices his nose is actually starting to heal. And he's like, "Whoa, this is really cool." And he feels like the blood going away from his nose and his nose fixing up. And Bakugo and Burnin are walking in front of him, like walking home from school. And they're like, "Izu, are you okay?" And they look back and they see him encased in flames and his nose like fixing itself from like him being on the floor. And they just see him sitting there just like flaming, and they're just like, "Yo, Izu, are you okay?" And doing this, they both get, it's the same scene from earlier with them kind of freaking out and fire going everywhere again. So, with that being said, Izuku figures out from this that he can control his own fire just by thinking about it. He doesn't have to hold his hands out just like he can do with his friends. However, when it's other fire, it takes more concentration to be able to calm it down. But on his own body, he can just think about it and it's gone. It's like, and he's like, "That's really cool." So he's talking to his mom about it when he gets home. And Bakugo and Burnin were actually planning to stay the night because it was the weekend. So, and reminder, they're about 4 years old. So they stay the night and they kind of just chill. They play games. They read comics, the basics. So the next day, they all wake up and they go to the park. And, Bakugo sees, who else do I want to invite into this story? Okay, I got it. So as they're playing at the park, they actually see this white-haired kid and his white-haired mom. They're like, "Yo, he kind of looks fun to play with. Let's go see if he wants to play a game with us." So they walk up to him and they're talking to him, and they're like, "Do you want to play hide and seek with us?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." So they all go and they start playing hide and seek, and Deku is it first, and he's like, "Oh, why do I always get picked first? Ugh." So he's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he counts all the way up to like however much he can at 4 years old, which I would assume would be about like 50, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know. He just counts up to however much he can. So, I'm yawning. Okay. So he counts up to however much he can, and he's walking around, and at first he immediately finds Burnin, because she has flames coming out of her head. It'd be kind of atrocious if he didn't find her first. Next, he actually finds the white-haired boy, and he's talking to him, and he's like, "So do you know where Bakugo went?" And he says, "Who's the Bakugo?" "Oh, he's the blonde-haired one." And he's like, "No, I didn't see where he went. Oh, by the way, this is like, that was really rude of me. Hi, my name's Toya Todoroki." And he's like, "Oh," and Deku responds, "Oh, my name's Izuku Midoriya." And Burnin responds, "Oh, my name's Mo Kamaji, or Kamaji. I don't know how to say her last name, just like, bear with me, guys." So they all three look around, and they finally find Bakugo in the most obvious spot ever. And Bakugo's like, "I win, you guys lose, haha." And he's just being like this arrogant, cocky little brat. And Bakugo just like slaps him on the back of the head, and he's like, don't be so brash." And he's like, "Bakugo, this is Toya. Toya, this is Katsuki Bakugo." And he's like, "But we all call him Kachan, and by we all, I mean Mo and me." And Bakugo's like, "I told you to stop calling me that." And he rolls his eyes, and he's like, "But it's fine, I guess." and Toya starts like laughing with them, and all four of them, they play around the park and they laugh together and they do their thing. Finally, the white-haired mom, aka Rei Todoroki, is like, "Come on, Toya, it's time to go home." And so Toya walks away with his mom, and that's really the last they see of him. Until, well, not until. That's the last they see of him. For now, guys, for now. So, next up, next thing that happens is they all three go their separate ways. Burnin walks with Izuku home because she actually lives pretty close to Izuku's house. Bakugo walks kind of with them, but then separates like 3/4 of the way there. But Burnin, or Mo, and Deku are basically next door neighbors. Basically, I mean they're literally across the street from each other. So Deku, being the gentleman that he is, walks her home, then walks across the street to his house. And during this trip, they're just talking, and they're like, "So he was really nice, actually. I hope we meet him again." And she's like, "Yeah, me too." And then he goes home. The next day, Deku, not the next day. He goes home, he talks to his mom about the kid he met, he eats dinner, and he watches the All Might video. Like his normal routine in the regular canon anime. Then, the next day, he actually has his appointment with the Quirk doctor. He goes to the Quirk doctor, and they get him to test everything, and he actually finds out that he has a healing. His quirk is called the Phoenix Fire Quirk. However, he just calls it the Phoenix. He just calls it a Phoenix Quirk, but the name for it is a Phoenix Fire. It's Phoenix Fire. And so he's like, "Whoa, that's really cool. So does that mean I get to turn into a phoenix?" And Dr. Ujiko is like, "I'm not entirely sure. I mean, maybe with a quirk awakening. But who knows? I mean, you should have to see that for yourself, won't you? Go be a hero, kid. Make the world a better place." And Deku's like, "Of course I will." And he walks out, and then what happens next is they go home. Inko and Deku are talking about his quirk and how it's actually really useful and how he'll be able to save a lot of people with this. I mean, he can control fire, you know? So he just goes home, he eats dinner again, and I feel like he would skip school. They get McDonald's, you know, and she's like, "Do you got McDonald's money?" And he's like, "No, you're the McDonald's money." And she's like, "Okay, you're cute. Let's get McDonald's." So they get McDonald's, they go home, they eat, and they just talk about his quirk, and they talk about how quirks mix, and they talk about the quirk singularity theory, which I kind of want to do a video in the future about how Deku has like a singularity quirk, but and it's like, okay, whatever. You guys will see when that comes out, if I do. Next. So the next day, Deku goes to school, and he's talking to Bakugo and Mo, and how about his quirk. And he's like, "Guys, my quirk is called Phoenix Fire." And Bakugo's like, "Yeah, I went the day that we basically almost set the school on fire. Apparently my quirk is called Explosion. Isn't that so cool?" And he pops like little explosions in his hands, and Burnin's like, "I haven't been yet, but I mean, and she has this bright green fire-like hair, and she's like, "But I have fiery hair, so I'm assuming it has something to do with that." So, and then she's like, "But I actually go to the Quirk Doctor tomorrow, so I'm really excited." And so she goes to the next day, she comes to, no, the next day, so throughout the next week, I should say, rather, they go to school, and finally Mo reveals her quirk being blazing hair. She can pull off chunks of her hair and throw it like a weapon. So, I think that's a pretty cool quirk. I don't think I'd want it. I like my hair too much. I don't think I'd want it, guys. Leave it down in the comments. Would you want Mo Kamju's Burnin's quirk? I personally don't think I would, but you know, I want to see y'all's opinion on that is. Now, we have the weekend again, where they actually meet Toya, but this time, something's a little bit different. He seems a little bit more kind of sad, a little bit more down in the dumps. And they're like, "Oh, hey, Toya," and he sees them and he immediately brightens up and he's like, "Oh, hey guys," and and they all just talk and they all play games again. And this time, Ray isn't there. It's just Toya, and so, and they're like, and Toya actually pulls Deku to the side and he's like, "Hey, Izu, is there any way that you think I could stay the night at your house tonight?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, of course. I mean, these guys are doing it too." And he's like, "Okay, thank you." And Toya is a smart kid. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I'm just aging him down a little bit to make their age. So, they after their day of playing, the streetlights come on and they all go home. And they all go to Deku's house and they all like start getting ready for bed, and Toya actually pulls Inko to the side and he explains everything that's happening in the household. And she's like, "Yeah, of course I'll take you in." So this is where we actually get Toya becoming a good guy. Because instead of him being taken in by All For One and All For One finding him first, Inko does. So, next, we're gonna have a little bit, the next day, they all, like Bakugo and Mo, they go home, and he's like, "Oh, Toya, why are you still here? Don't you have to go home?" And he's like, "Well, about that," and Inko chimes in and she's like, "Izu, I would like you to meet your new brother. I adopted him last night, actually." And he's like, "Whoa, that's so cool!" And he gives him like this like big old hug, and he's like, "Hey, bro!" And they both like laugh together, and he shows him the All Might video, and Toya's like, "Whoa, this is so cool! He's so much better than what my dad was." And he's like, "No wonder my dad could never catch up." And Deku's like, "Oh, who's your dad?" And he's like, "Oh, my dad's Endeavor. I'm not very proud of it though. He wasn't very good to us." And he's like, "Oh, that's really cool though. I really wish I had that powerful of a quirk though. Hopefully mine is that powerful. I don't know." But they start talking about Endeavor and pro heroes and what they want to do with their lives. And Toyo's like, "I don't know how much I want to be a pro hero. I mean, my quirk mostly just does damage to me." And he's like, and Deku's like, "Really? Can I see? I mean, I promise I will keep it from burning you." And he's like, "How are you going to do that?" And he's like, "Just trust me, okay?" So Zabi, he puts a fire in his hand and he feels his hand start burning. And then Deku's like, "Oh, that's really cool. It's like it's a blue fire. That's really cool." And he's like, "It's burning Izu. I thought you said it wouldn't." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot." And he controls the bottom of the fire and he turns it like basically like no flame on the bottom, just enough so that way it doesn't burn his hand. So he's like, "Whoa, how did you do that?" And he's like, "Oh, I have this quirk called Phoenix Fire. I can control fire. I can flame on my entire body, and apparently I might be able to turn into a phoenix. I don't know though. Oh, I also have this like healing power whenever I flame on." And he just puts a fire in his hand and he's like, "See?" And it's this like bright blue, orange, and red fire. So, like, I'm going for like if y'all have seen One Piece, like he's like one of my favorite characters. I love the Phoenix fruit so much. Marco, he's a goat. It's gonna be kind of like that, just like a little bit different. So, and now we have this cool little scene where Deku is laying down and he wakes up and he's older. And he's actually in middle school. He comes out of the room and he's like, "Oh, I'm so tired." He comes out of the room and he gets like a bowl of cereal and he sees Toya just up cooking and he's like, "How do you wake up so early? And I don't know. I don't get you, man." And Toya's just like, "I don't know. I've like kind of always been this way, man. I love waking up early. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of habit now." And Izuku's like, "Yeah, I get that, I guess, but you excited for school today? We'll get to see Kachan and Mo again." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm excited." And he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, what's going on with you and Mo?" And Deku gets his like, he immediately wakes up and his face goes bright red and he's like, "What do you mean? What? There's nothing going on." And he's like, "Dude, She lives across the street. She practically holds your hand while y'all are walking to school. What do you mean? And he's like, well, I mean, there's nothing going on. I guess she's just like a kind of touchy person. And he's like, dude, she never acts like that with Kachan. What are we doing, bro? And he's like, I mean, I guess, man, but like, I don't want to do that. Like, I can't, bro. That's homegirl right there. Like, I can't, you know? And he's like, all right, man, but you might want to snatch her up before somebody else does. And he's like, okay, bro, just chill. And then they walk out of the house and they see Mo come out at the exact same time. And Mo has this, like, as soon as she sees Izuku, gets this bright smile, and she like waves and she walks across the street, and she like basically leaps onto Deku holding his arm, and they start walking to school. And Toya just side eyes Deku with like a little smug grin, and Deku has this like bright red expression on his face, and he's like, shut up. And so they all walk to school and they run into Bakugo. And then they continue walking to school, and Bakugo's like proposes, hey, do y'all want to go train after school? I mean, I know we're at the start, it's the start of our final year of middle school. Do y'all want to like go somewhere and like actually train? Because I'm sure all of us want to get to go to the same school, right? And Mo's like, duh, we're all making it into UA. So yeah, let's go train. So they all go to school, and they have that little, I don't think it would be the first day, no. So they have their school day, and they're learning, and you know, but Deku is just like purely excited for what's to come later. And he's like, so they all meet up after school outside of the school into the courtyard. And they're all like, all right. And Deku's like, so Kachan, did you have like a place in mind? And he's like, nah, man, I mean, if you do, then we can propose that. I was just saying we could go to like a boxing gym or something. And he was like, man, we have quirks. There's like, we could go to a boxing gym, but I mean, I feel like all of us need to work on our quirk control and not so much of just our physical bodies, because we have good stamina. Of course, that like, I think I have an idea. I mean, I saw a forum online when I was scrolling last night, and Toya's like, so that's why you woke up so late. And he's like, shut up. Not actually, bro. And he daps up his brother, and he's just like, I read this forum. It's this place called Dagoba Beach. Apparently it's been like dirt. Apparently there's a bunch of sailors that just throw trash in the ocean, and it washes up on this beach. Apparently it used to be this like gorgeous place, and now it's just trash everywhere. And they're like, okay, we can do that. And he's like, so how about we split it up into 4 sections? Mo, how about you get the far left, because there's and he says this because there's like, it's less trash, but but there's far less trash, but it's a wider area. And he says, I'll get the right middle. And he's like, and he chose this side because it has the most amount of trash and it's the biggest section. And he's like, Bakugo, you get the left middle, and Toya, you get the far right. And they're all like, coolio. So after they go and they walk to Dagoba Beach, and they start working. Deku takes his shirt off, Bakugo does the same, and so does Toya. They all the men take off their shirts, and Mo just like is staring at Izu with like blush on her face, and then she starts doing her trash. And Toya and Bakugo both just nudge Deku and he's like, will y'all shut up about this? Dang, y'all are And so he just like stomps off, like that like angry stomp that Bakugo does, because I feel like they would all have a little bit of rubbing off on each other. Mo would be a little bit less a little bit more calm than she is in canon, like a little bit less like brash headed. Bakugo would be the same way. He would be a little bit less brash, like as in a sense of like he wouldn't be so like angry all the time, but he would still have his like anger issues. Deku would have like a little bit more anger, like he would be a little bit less calm, and like he'd be a little bit less innocent. Like he wouldn't be like he'd be like a half Bakugo, half Deku, and same thing with Bakugo. Toya would be a little bit more calm, but also less calm. Like he'd be energetic, but he'd be more energetic than in canon. But he would also have a little bit more confidence than he did in canon. So they're all doing their work on the beach, and finally the streetlights come on, and And Deku stays. Deku and Bakugo stay, and Toya's like, hey, I'm gonna go home and let mom know that we're gonna be late. And he's like, alright, cool, I'm gonna keep doing this. And Mo's like, yeah, I'm kind of tired, I'm gonna go too. And Deku's just like, okay, do you want to wait for me? I'm probably not gonna stay any more than 30 minutes. And she's like, you know what, yeah, sure, why not? So, and she's like trying to act nonchalant, but she's just happy that he asked her to stay. And so then it's just Bakugo and Deku, and he said 30 minutes. It is not going to be 30 minutes. Bakugo and Deku are just like kind of like slightly challenging each other to see who can get the most done and who's going to be the first one to leave. And as they're doing this, Mo is like yawning, and Deku sees her like falling, like she like lays down on like the steps, and he actually walks over and places his shirt on her, and then he keeps going. And so it's like 2 hours. It's like, I'm gonna say it's like 8 o'clock at night, and Deku and Bakugo both get texts on their phones saying, where are you? Come home right now. And Deku and Bakugo are like, oh crap. And they start, and Deku just like, he like taps Mo and wakes her up, while Bakugo is sprinting home, like popping explosions behind him, trying to get home as fast as he can. And Deku kind of just like wakes up Mo slowly, and it's like, hey, we gotta go home. My mom just texted me and said that I gotta get home. So I figured I would walk you home first. And he texted his mom and is like, all right, cool, I'm on my way home. I'm just walking Mo home. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. I will see you soon then. And so he walks Vernon home, and you know, it's just the two of them, and they're walking, and she's hugging up on him, and she's like, thanks for your shirt earlier. And he's like, yeah, no problem. I mean, I didn't want you catching a cold. It was pretty chilly out. And he's like, I know it probably wasn't much, but she's like, no, it was really appreciated. And Deku's just like, you know, call me crazy. So they get up to their door, like they get up to her doorstep, and he's like, how about we go out, just like me and you? We just go out, have some fun. And she gets like red-faced, and she's like, yeah, I'm so down for that. Let's do it. Where would you want to go? And he's like, how about we go this week, and how about we just like go to the mall, get some food, and walk around and just talk, you know, like kind of the good old times, you know? And she's like, yeah, of course. And so she walks inside, and she's like, bye, Izu. And she closes the door, and he sees Mo's father, and he's like, hi, and he like waves, and he waves back, and they smile, and he walks across the street home. So he walks inside, and Inko's like pressing him. She's like, so why did you come home so late? And he's like, sorry, I was training, and I had to walk Mo home. And she's like, oh, okay, you're fine. I just didn't want your food getting cold. And Toya's just standing there like, yo. And he's just like, Toya, what did you tell her? And he's like, oh, I totally didn't tell her that you're taking Mo on a date. You were taking Mo on a date. Totally not. And he just gets red-faced, and he's like, and he walks up to Toya, and he just like places his hand on his shoulder and whispers something in his ear, and he's like, yeah, that's happening. And Toya's like, wait, what? And they dap each other up like the crispiest dap ever. Like, I'm talking like so perfect it makes the house shake. So the next day, the same thing happens, except Bakugo leaves earlier so that way he doesn't get in trouble with his mom again, and Deku leaves like an hour earlier. Bakugo leaves 2 hours earlier, Deku leaves an hour early. So, like an hour earlier, then you guys know what I mean. So I would say this goes on for about a month, and the beach entirely, I would say, is about probably close to halfway clean. Because you have to think, if Deku was doing it in 10 months and cleaned the entire beach, if you split it into 4 sections and after a month, I would say it's like over halfway clean by now. So the weekend rolls around, and you know, Deku and Mo are on their date. They go to the mall, they go roller skating, and you know, they go to the beach that they're actually cleaning up, and Deku's like, you know, honestly, it is really pretty, you know? Maybe once we have it clean, I'll take you on a date here one day. And she just gets like completely red-faced, and she's like, yeah, that would be nice. And she then, like, they both go home, and now we have like a time skip to the next month. They clean up the entire beach, you know, And the month after that is whenever the 10 months of training start. So, or we're just going to say time skip to the 10 months of training, like the start of the 10 months of training. And the beach is completely clean. And there would be no slime incident because they just go to the beach and train, or they run laps on the beach, they do physical stuff on the beach. Like, I would say Deku gets like a ton of free weights for them and like resistance bands and stuff, and they all train on the beach for the entire 10 months of training. So I'm going to say Deku is at the point of where he was in about season 3 starting off. I know that's like crazy, but like it's kind of, it makes kind of sense, honestly. Like season 4, like overhaul arc, that's where he's at right now. Same thing with Bakugo, and Toya is at that point. Mo is at that point as well. So like they're all at the kind of same power level, except Deku's just like a little bit stronger than all of them. Bakugo's a little bit stronger than them too. Toya's a little bit stronger than Mo. It's kind of just how it goes. Like, it's a hierarchy thing, it's a step stool. And in this 10 months of training, in the final 2 months, Deku actually figures out how to access his hybrid form. Not his full form, but he figures out how to access his hybrid form. And he figures out he can actually fly in his hybrid form. So they're on the beach and they're all just like practicing together, and he's like, all right, Toya and Bakugo, I want y'all to try and hit me mid-air while I'm flying. You too, Mo. And he flaps up in the air and he's just like doing figure eights, and they're trying to hit him and they're just failing completely because this man has already like nearly mastered his flight. And he's dodging and weaving, and he finally comes to a stop, and Mo finally hits him, and he's like, oh no, and he crashes down in the water, and he gets up on the beach, and he's like, whoa, that water feels really nice. And he actually, like, he grabs like a handful of water and he splashes Mo with it, like just like on her, like, I would say like he splashes just her legs because you don't want to get her hair wet. Being a gentleman, guys. If you're at the beach with your girl, don't like splash water onto her heads. Just like splash water on her legs, or like, you know, that's what I would do. Because, you know, not everybody wants their hair wet. Regardless. So finally we get to the UA entrance exam. Now, I would say they all do decently well on, I would say they all Bakugo score and Deku score what they did in canon. Mo and Toya, I would say, would actually score a little bit better than them, or a little bit of the same, but like maybe a little tad better or worse, because I feel like Bakugo and Deku focus so much on physical that they didn't really care about the intelligence side of it. Deku, I would say would, because he's always been like a smart character, but I would say because he has a quirk in this version, he wouldn't rely on his smarts so much. However, he would still love studying heroes. So now we get to the practical portion, aka the physical portion, where we get the fun part of it all. I would say Deku gets to his gate, Mo gets to her gate, Bakugo gets to his gate, Toya gets to his gate, because there's 4 gates, they all get separated. And Deku sees the wall and he's like, yeah, nah, I'm not waiting for this. He flaps up in the air and he just flies over, and he's just dropping like fireballs down onto the robots, like kind of like a fighter jet. Like, he's just dropping bombs basically on these robots, and it's hitting them and exploding them. And he's like, and I would say he would get about 150 points this way. And Bakugo would kind of do the same thing, except he would just jump over the gate and he would just explode a bunch of robots. I would say I think he scored like 70 in canon, so I'm going to say he actually gets, I'm gonna say he gets 90 in this alternate. So I'm going to say Toya gets around 70. I'm going to say Mo gets around 65. So then we have the 0 pointers. Bakugo does a howitzer impact through the skull. Personally, I think we all need to take a little moment of silence for that 0 pointer. Not really. Anyways, he got what was coming to him. Next, I feel like Mo would kind of just run away. Toya, he creates. So If y'all have seen Seven Deadly Frames, aka Seven Deadly Frames, Seven Deadly Sins, you guys know the cruel sun. Dobby does kind of that, so that way, because Deku isn't with him, so he can't help him control the flame and keep it from burning him. So he does it just on his finger, pumping all of his quirk power into that ball, and he's like, "Who decided that?" And he launches it at the head, and it explodes. Deku, taking a little bit more of a practical approach, he flaps really fast, seeing Uraraka, and he actually controls fire to dig out the rubble, and he flies extremely fast, and he closes his wings around himself, turning himself kind of into a drill, kind of like the howitzer impact, just a little bit less. He goes inside of the zero pointer, and he finds the kill, and he just drills all the way through it, actually, I'm gonna say. And this would actually shut it down instead of making it explode, because he's not heating it up, so he's not heating up the wiring so much to the point where it's causing an electrical current and causing the motherboard to explode and doing the whole fun things. But he just drills through, shutting it down, keeping the entire city and casualties to a minimum, also being the reason why somebody was saved and healed. There you go. Now, he lands, and Uraraka tries thanking him, and he's like, thanks, or he's like, not thanks, but he's like, you're welcome, and he walks away because he doesn't really care. Like, so next, we actually have all four meeting up, and he's like, yeah, I think I did pretty good. I don't know. I kind of flew over the arena. I kind of flew over the gate and kind of dropped bombs on everything. The zero pointer I kind of drilled through the head and shut it off. And he's like, and Bakugo's like, oh wait, no way, you too? And they dap each other up, and he's like, I did this, and he does cruel something. I'm kidding. And he's just like, oh, I kind of just made a ball of concentrated flames come out from my fingertip, and I launched it at it and caused it to explode, and it like exploded like half the buildings, but you know, it was fine. And Mo was like, I just ran away from that thing, I'm not fighting that. And they all just like start laughing at Mo and her comment, and you know, and they all walk home and they all do their things, and after they all, since they don't have school anymore, they all just hang out for the next 2 weeks. They all train on the beach, and they all just have fun, and they go to the arcade, play games, and they all get letters in the mail. And they all made it into 1A. And they all look at the scores, and they all look at it together, and everybody just looks at Izuku, and they're just like, you scored 200 points? And he's like, whoops. I mean, I didn't think I would score like 130 villain points, and then I didn't think I would score 70 hero points. I mean, and Bakugo's like, dude, I scored like 90. How did you score almost double what I did? And he's like, I don't know, man. And Toya's just like, I mean, that's my brother for you. And they're all just like, fair enough. And they all just hang out for the next week, and they get their uniforms, and they all walk into school together, and there's no like more interaction with anybody or anything. They get to school earlier than typically people do, and they all just chill in the classroom, and they all kind of are just like, Bakugo puts his feet up on the desk, and Deku sits next to him, and Toya and Mo kind of sits on top of Deku's desk, and Toya kind of just leans against the wall next to Bakugo. And they're all just chilling and talking, and Ida walks in the room and is like, you cannot be sitting on the desk, and you cannot be putting your feet on top of the desk. That is against the UA, that you are disrespecting UA property. Da, 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 da. And Deku's just like, would you shut up? And he's like, it's you, the person who flew over the gate and cheated. And he's like, dude, do you really expect a villain to wait for you to for a gate to open, or do you think the villain's just gonna destroy the gate and kill you with it? And Ida's like, I didn't think of it that way. You're right. There are no countdowns in a hero battle. Why would I have waited for one? And Deku's just like, all right, bro, can you like push off now? Like, I'm trying to talk to my friends, so can you like push off? And Ida's like, how rude. And he's just like, and Deku's just like, yo, Teach, can you please get this dude away from us? And Aizawa's just like, would you problem children please be quiet? I'm trying to sleep. And Aizawa's just thinking, damn, he was able to see me? And he was like, okay. And Ida sits down and is like, Of course, I have to listen to the homeless man in a sleeping bag. Wait, you're not a teacher, you're just a homeless man in a sleeping bag. And Aizawa was like, would you be quiet? And everybody else walks in, and Aizawa was just like, all right, everybody, put these on and meet me outside. And he just like walks out of the classroom lazily. And everybody goes to their respective changing rooms. And so after this, they all go to their respective changing rooms. They change and Kirishima sees how ripped Bakugo, Toya, and Deku all are, and he's like, "Damn, y'all are ripped. Y'all must train together. Y'all gotta let me join sometimes." And Denki chimes in and is like, "Yo, me too." And they're like, "Yeah, of course, man." And on the woman's side of things, everybody sees Mo and how she's like has that 6-pack, but like she's still like she still looks good, respectfully. And I'm gonna say Mina actually walks up to her and is like, and Mina and Uraraka both walk up to her and is like, "Hey, what do you do for training? Can we join you?" And Momo's like, "Yes, I would love to join as well." And she's like, "Whoa, I don't run the circle, but hey, I'll definitely put in a good word for y'all." And she's like, and they're like, "What do you mean you don't run the circle?" And she's just like, "I'm just messing with y'all." "Yeah, of course, y'all can tag along. We're going to Dagobah Beach after this, around 4 o'clock, meet us there." And she's like, "Okay." Like, all three of them are like, "Okay." And Kirishima and Denki have the same thing, and everybody goes outside, and Mo kind of is like hugging up on Izuku again, and Aizawa just sighs, and he's like, "All right, problem child," and he tosses the ball to Izuku, and he's like, "Throw this as far as you can, but you can't leave the circle." And he's like, "As far as I can? Any means necessary, including quirks?" And he's like, "Yes, including your quirk." And Deku's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, he hits that Omni-Man, "Are you sure?" And so then he's like, "All right," and he holds the ball in his hand, and he's like, "Flame on, hybrid form." And he just activates his hybrid form, and he uses his wings as propulsion. So y'all know shot put, right? So he does that. So he does like the shot put circle, and he launches it using his wings as aerodynamics. Then he pushes the flames from his wings onto the ball, propelling it. Then he controls those flames, launching the ball even faster. So I'm going to say he actually, I would say he just gets infinity. Not infinity. I'm just trolling y'all. I'm going to say, I'm trying to think. You know what? So, yeah, we'll just say that it goes into space. Like, honestly, because if he can control the flames, and he that means he can propel them at as much speed as he wants, because he can control them. So yeah, I would say it just goes into space, and it's just I'm gonna say the thing says unreadable, not infinity. So I'm going to say, next we have, so Bakugo scores, I'm going to say, a third better than what he did in canon. So take a third of what he did in canon, add it to that. Mo does what Deku did in canon, Toya does what Bakugo does in canon. There you go. Or no, switch those. Mo does what Bakugo does in canon, just a little bit worse. And Toya does what Deku does in canon, just a little bit worse. So, honestly, other than like the physical portions, like I see Deku clearing these like with no problem. I mean, other than like maybe the grip strength, like I think Deku and his group are scoring first, second, third, fourth. So everybody scores how they do in canon. However, it's Deku, Bakugo, Toya, Momo. And then you have however else in canon. Mineta being last. And there was that scene of, oh, it's going to be so much fun. However, I'm going to say that Mineta doesn't get expelled and da-da-da-da. Because, guys, look, Mineta serves as a good comic relief character. He's a good troll character. So, next up, I'm going to say that we have a... So, we're going to say after the school day, they all meet up at Dagobah Beach, and Deku's like, yo, whoa, we have so many people now. So, and he's just like talking to them all, and he's like, so I don't know if we have all the free weights for all these people, but like, so he's like, as y'all know, I'm Izuku Midoriya, Bakugo Katsuki, Mo Kamaji, and Toya Todoroki, aka Toya. I'm actually gonna say his name. He changed his last name to Toya Midoriya. Then we have, what are y'all's names? And Momo introduces herself. I'm Momo Yajirozu. I'm Denki Kaminari. God, I haven't thought about these names in a minute. Ejiro Kirishima, Mina Ashido, and Ochaka Uraraka. That's the group that pulls up. And we're gonna say Ida overheard, and he pulls up like a little bit late, and he's like, I am here. And Deku's just like, no, we don't want you. And he's like, nah, I'm just kidding. So they all start training, and so this group becomes like a little bit better, and this is kind of become the group, the after school crew. So I'm gonna say we have a little time skip to the battle trial. So I would say it was actually, I'm pretty sure it was the next day, or it was like a week from when the Quirk apprehension was. So we're gonna say a week passes, and they have the Quirk apprehension, or not the Quirk apprehension, the battle trial test. So All Might walks in the room like a totally normal person. He's like, ha, I am here. And Deku, not knowing that he was going to be here in canon, because he doesn't have one for all, he's like, All Might? Everybody says, All Might in unison. And he's like, ha. And so he's just like talking to them, and he's like, oh. And he says, the clothes make the pros. Everybody put your costumes on and meet me outside. So for Deku's costume, hold on, let me figure out what I want to make his costume look like. So I'm going to put up a picture on the screen, like right here, right now. So I like this hero costume. Like, I like this fan art because I feel like it fits the vibe. Like, he can turn his arms into fire like wings. So I don't want him to, burn his hero costume up. And I know there's like ways that you can make it like burn with you by using your DNA inside of the costume. However, I don't feel like doing that because I just feel like this would look cool. I know it's, I know it's just like, Gooner bait. However, anyways, so I'm gonna say the teams are Deku and Toya against Todoroki or Shoto, and I'm actually gonna say Todoroki and who else do I think would be really cool to go against? Tokoyami. Todoroki and Tokoyami. So I feel like the fight would start off with, I don't feel like Todoroki, I feel like Todoroki would recognize Toya, but he wouldn't really like notice, because I feel like he would notice the name, but he'd like, maybe it's just a different person. And he'd be like, but the white hair? And he'd be speculating, and he would freeze the entire building. And because I'm going to say that Deku and Toya are the villains, and Shoto and Tokoyami are the heroes. Todoroki freezes the entire building. He walks up to the final floor, and he sees the entire room unfrozen. And he's like, wait, what? And he's like, and Deku's like, yeah, it kind of took you longer than I expected it to. Are you sure you don't want the help from Tokoyami? Oh, wait, I already captured him. Shoto looks out of the window, and he sees Tokoyami tied up, just like, dang, I just got done dirty. Because Deku jumped out of the window, snuck him, tied him up, and then jumped back in the room. And he's like, so, yeah. And Toya, like, knowing that he's Todoroki, like, he is Shoto, he's his brother, and he's like, how you doing, bro? And Shoto's like, wait, what? And he's like, and Toya's like, oh, yeah, right. Toya Todoroki, nice to meet you. And Shoto just starts breaking down. He's like, wait, what? But you died. How are you here? And he's like, I didn't die. I ran away. There's a difference. Faked my own death. I just kept the first name, but I took Midoriya because his mom took me in. And Shoto's like, but you abandoned us. How could you? And he's like, I didn't abandon y'all. Y'all, like, he literally did not care about us. Let's be so honest, Shoto. He did not care about us. What do you mean? Why would I stay with that? He didn't even recognize that I left, did he? And he's like, oh. And Shoto realizes like, no, he didn't. But like, how what? And Shoto's just like going crazy in his head, and his fire like automatically activates, and Toya's like, see, like, dude, and I know that you don't like to use your fire because that's him, but dude, look. And he activates his fire, and Deku controls it so it doesn't burn him. My fire doesn't burn me anymore because I met him. And he like turns his fire off, and he points towards Izu, and he's like, this is my brother now too. But I might be your by blood brother, but this is my brother. He has helped me in so many ways, and he and his family have cared for me. And Shoto is just going like crazy in his mind, and he's like, what? I'm and Deku's just like, all right, don't let him have too much. And Deku just walks up to Todoroki, and he's like, look, man, I know y'all didn't have the best childhood. I know that y'all probably got decently along, and well, from what I heard, you didn't really talk to him that much, but I heard that his death really messed you up. Well, he's alive now, so I'm going to let y'all two siblings duke it out, and I'm going to go untie Togiyami and tell him sorry for sneaking him. So y'all have fun. And Deku just jumps out of the window, and he's just talking to Togiyami, and he's like, yo, my bad, bro. I didn't mean to sneak you. It was just like, you know, kind of had to. And Togiyami's like, nah, man, I get it. It's just the way things go. You know, got to be ready for everything. And Deku's just sitting with him, and he's like, you know, you're pretty cool. And he's like, thank you, man. You are too. And they're just talking, and finally, All Might announces, Hero Team wins! And he's like, oh, I guess Toya let him touch the bomb. Oh well. And he activates a little fire, and he burns the rope off of Togiyami, and he's like, let's go back. And all four of them walk back, Shoto and Toya still talking and just like hashing things out. And Bakugo's like, what was that? You could have won immediately. And he's like, I know. And he like puts up the little shush, and he's just like, let them have this. The next team, I'm going to say it's Bakugo and Uraraka versus Mo and I'm going to say Mo and who do I want to partner with? I'm going to say Momo. You know, I feel like that'd be cool. So it's Bakugo and Uraraka. They're going to be the heroes, and I'm going to say Mo and Momo are the villains. So by the way, guys, I'm going to say this now. Hero team wins. I'm going to say, kind of just to like, wrap this up quick, Bakugo and Uraraka touches Bakugo, and he literally explodes up to the bomb room. Pops, literally taps the window, breaks it, walks inside, touches the bomb without them even realizing. And he's like, I know, I really wanted to fight you, but the brunette told me that this would be a better idea, and I have to admit she was right. And if that doesn't go to show y'all what character change that he has had, like from the canon to this world, is that he actually listened to advice from a classmate. Anyways, I digress. The rest of the fights kind of just are go how they do in canon for the rest of the teams that I didn't really change. Next up, hold on. Oh. Sorry about that. I know this section was really quick. I do like covering it, but I kind of just wanted to make it more of like because there's no way to explain how Shoto didn't really notice his brother. And I feel like after talking to Toya, Todoroki would come around more often. And like he would come around and hang out with the group more often. And I feel like Todoroki would become a part of like the main group. And I would say Uraraka and Momo would as well. And so I'm going to say another person that comes into this group, I'm going to say they run into somebody who was just sitting on the beach and was getting kind of like semi-harassed by these like group of dudes. They walk over and Deku's just like, hey, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. And Toya's like, obviously she's not okay, bro. And he walks over and he's like, all right, guys, y'all need to push off. And she's like, and they all like run off because he activates a fire in his hand. or you all might get burned. And they all walk off like kind of scared. And Toya has aura, so and so he's like, yo, are you all right? And she's like, yeah, I'm okay, thanks for that. And he poofs out the fire, and he shakes her hand, and he says, hi, I'm Toya Midori. And she says, Kami Utsushimi, it's nice to meet you. And they begin talking, and so that's the group now, guys. They all just, for the next like month, I'm going to say, they all just like hang out, talk, they all go to school, do their things. And now we get to something that's going to be very interesting, actually, which I'm actually going to stand up for this one. So Aizawa walks into class, and he's like, all right, everybody, I need you all to get these forms signed and turned into me by the end of the week. We're going to the USJ. And everybody's like, Universal Studios Japan. And he's like, no, it's going to be the Universal Simulation it's the Universal Simulation Joint, or it's the Unforeseen Simulation Joint. And they're like, aww. And Deku's like, all right, pet, that means we get to do more training. And Baku goes the same way. And so they all go home and get the paper signed, and I'm just gonna have a time skip to the USJ. So they're all getting on their, so actually, no, okay. So what happens is there is a group of villains outside, or not villain, okay. Let me take a breath really quick. So what happens is they're all eating lunch together, and they're going to the USJ in literally like 2 days. So they all are eating lunch like as a group, the Bakugo, Mo, Todoroki, Toya, and Uraraka. So they're all just hanging out as a group, and I think I forgot somebody. Oh yeah, I forgot Momo. They're all just hanging out as a group, talking, hanging out, eating lunch, and all of a sudden sirens go off, and Deku's like, what the heck? And he looks out the window, and he's just like, oh, it's just reporters. Why are the alarms going off? And he sees the decayed wall, and he's like, okay, that's not normal. So what he does is, but he's like, it's just reporters. So he sees everybody running out, causing like a panic, and he just flies above everybody. He's like, yo, everybody, can y'all just like chill? Like, come on, it's literally reporters. Look out the window. And they look out the window, and they see the reporters, and they're like, oh, we're fine. And he's just like, I know, that's what I told y'all. And he lands back down at the table, and he keeps eating. And so he gets elected as class president, and he's like, I'd really rather not, but it's okay, I guess. So after the next 2 days, they go to the USJ, and immediately Deku just feels something off, but he doesn't really bring it up because he just feels like maybe he just ate something wrong for breakfast or something. And he's just like, Toya, do you feel that like pit in your stomach as well? And Toya's just like, no, I mean, breakfast was did you just like not eat enough breakfast or something? And he's like, maybe I ate too much or something, I don't know, man. And Mo's like, oh, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm good, I don't know. There's just like weird feeling I have this in my stomach. It's just this like weird gut feeling. So they all get off the bus, and Deku walks up to the door, and he's like, and as soon as he steps up to that door, his stomach just drops 20 times, and he's like, ooh, that does not feel good. So everybody walks in, and he immediately feels even worse walking in. Like he just has this like sense of just complete dread and anxiety. And so all of a sudden, Hiroshima says, whoa, they even have fake villains. As like 13 is giving her speech, and Aizawa's like, those aren't fake. And Izuku immediately realizes what that pit in his stomach was. He says, flame on! And he jumps down with Aizawa, and he like flies over them, and he drops like fire bombs on them. Not enough to like burn them, but enough to like incapacitate them and knock them out. So like it's literally like explosions that aren't hot, but they're just explosions that are like kind of shockwaves. And so this Kurogiri sees him flying above, and he's just like, bingo. And he warp gates him down to the ground, like pointing him towards the ground. And Deku, in just the nick of time, lifts up, causing him to not hit the ground. So he lands back to back with Aizawa, and he's like, hey, Mr. Aizawa. And he's like, kid, what are you doing here? Are you are you the reason why those explosions happen? He's like, yeah. Would you rather it be a 1 on 100 or would you rather it be 2 on 100? And he's like, fair enough. It looks to see as if there is about like 150 left. You get 75, I get 75, and he's like, not unless I get 85. And he just like, and they just start going crazy, and they're comboing, and Deku, out of the corner of his eye, he sees explosions popping, and he's like, hey, what's up, Kacchan? And he's just continuing fighting, and he's like, hey, Mr. Aizawa, it looks like that 150 is gonna be cut down even more. And Aizawa's like, what do you mean? And he sees the explosions, he's like, Katsuki, what are you doing down here? I get maybe Izuku Midoriya, I get maybe Midoriya, but what are you doing here, you problem child? And he's like, oh, shut up. I'm just trying to help. And so all three of them are going crazy, and everybody else gets teleported how they do in canon. However, I'm going to say Sue, and it takes them a little bit more time. So the people that Sue and Mineta don't get teleported. Bakugo doesn't get teleported. Todoroki doesn't get teleported, but Momo gets teleported with Jiro and Denki still. Shoji and Togiyami get teleported together. Like the basic crews. But everybody who didn't get teleported doesn't get teleported as in canon. Ida runs out to the school again because Kurogiri didn't get to him in time because he was focused on Izuku. Next, what happens is Shigaraki's like, no, it's not fair. I wasn't expecting three of them. I knew Aizawa. I knew Eraserhead. But why are those two brats trying to interrupt us? Ugh. Nomu, kill those two brats. And the Nomu lets out this terrifying screech. Aizawa immediately looks over Deku too, and Deku's just like, oh, I'll handle the big bad. And Deku, he just cracks his knuckles, he cracks his neck, and he's just like, oh, come at me. And he gets into like a boxing stance, and the Nomu throws a punch, and he weave, and he hits a wombo combo. He hits right hook, left hook with flames on his hands. Y'all know Yuji Itadori from JJK, how he has the divergent fist. So Deku and Black Flash. Deku is hitting Black Flashes, quote unquote, but he's just hitting them with his flames. And he's like, I saw this in a manga once. Bah, Black Flash. I'm trolling y'all. Kind of, not really. But that is what he's doing. And he realizes that this Nomu is healing immediately. So he's like, oh, I got a flame on for this one. So what Deku does is he goes off the Nomu, like he jumps up in the air. He does a backflip off of the Nomu's chest, and he creates his wings. He slams his hands together, and he launches a huge concentrated beam of flames at the Nomu. Now, it pierces the Nomu, and it doesn't kill him though, because it doesn't pierce his brain. It pierces like his neck area, and it immediately heals up. And Deku's like, oh, I understand it. I understand it now. And so Deku, he does like a little flyby, and what he does is he actually starts doing circles like really fast around the Nomu, and he's just causing a like flame tornado around this Nomu. But here's the thing, the Nomu doesn't he's not reacting, he's just standing still. He reaches out and grabs Deku by the neck, and Deku's like, he's just grabbing at his hand, and he's just like trying to burn him, and he gets like slammed into the ground, and Deku's like, and so Deku, what he does is, in a final last ditch effort, he does a full flame on to try and burn the Nomu's hand so that way he'll screech and let go. In this struggle, Deku turns into a full phoenix. And in this, his body completely heals as he is getting hurt. His body's healing immediately, and this Nomu is basically getting melted. Like, his skin, his bones, his muscles are just getting completely melted. So fast to the point where they're not even being able to regen back. So, next what happens is Deku, he stands up, and he just grabs Nomu by the head as he's like kneeling, and he grabs him by the brain, and he's just boiling his brain. And then Nomu is letting out this terrifying screech, and Shigaraki's like, "What? It's not fair. What is this kid? Who is he? What is his quirk?" And he lunges at Izuku, trying to decay him. Aizawa canceling his quirk. He touches Izuku, but burning his hand completely, almost melting his entire right hand off. So he doesn't have fingers anymore. It's just his palm. And Deku looks over at Shigaraki, and he kicks him in the stomach away. And then what happens is the Nomu is completely melted. He is a puddle of black goop on the ground. Then Deku just flies up in the air, lets out this huge explosion, which actually heals all of his classmates. It heals Aizawa. It heals everybody in there except for the people that he doesn't want to. And then he begins falling to the ground, where Aizawa catches him and says, "You did good, kid. Now leave this to the pros." All the pro heroes then show up, and Snipe, he goes, "Bah, bah, 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 bah." Because we're gonna say All Might in this version, no, we're gonna say All Might does show up first, but then like we're gonna say he shows up a little bit later than he does in canon, because he shows up with the rest of the pro heroes as he was advised to. Because I'm going to say it was like this because he didn't have the successor to One for All in this class. So I would say he would be a little bit more reasonable to coming with the other pro heroes. I mean, he also had to think about his timer. So after this, he sees Deku laying on the floor, and he's like, "Oh, poor kid." And All Might walks up, and he's like, "So what happened to the kid?" And Aizawa was like, "What happened to the kid? You should be saying, what did the kid do?" And All Might looks around, and he sees like all of the villains with like burn marks on them, and he sees like all of the villains with burn marks on them. He sees all of his students are completely healed, like not a scratch on them. He sees the Nomu in a puddle of black goop. He sees Shigaraki with a melted hand getting teleported away by Kurogiri. And he's like, "Whoa, this kid did all of that?" And Aizawa was like, "Yeah, crazy, right?" And he's like, "What about you? Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I got completely healed by him." And he's like, "Wait, what? He has healing powers?" And he's like, "Apparently, I didn't know that." And Aizawa was like, and All Might's just like, "Huh, think about how powerful he would be." And he was just thinking this, and Aizawa he stands up and he's like, "I swear if you give him One for All when he's already this powerful, you're gonna be the reason why the Quirk singularity theory comes to life." And All Might just like gets scared, and he's like, "Okay, fair point. I won't give it to him. Psych!" No, I'm kidding. He's not giving it to him. I'm not in good conscience gonna give Izuku One for All with this quirk. Next up, so we're going to have Deku. He gets transported to the hospital because he passed out, and da. But all of his classmates, they just return home like nothing really happened. And Deku is in the hospital, and there's only two people in there with him, Mo and his mom. So Mo and his mom are sitting with him, and they're like, "Izu, and Toya as well, sorry. Izu, you're awake." And he wakes up and he's like, "Yo, what's going on, guys?" And he's acting as if nothing happened. And Mo like jumps on him, and she's like, "You're awake." And she's like, "Are you okay? I saw you fall out of the sky, and it was like a shooting star." And he's like, "Really? Hey, that's kind of aura though. Wait, no, that's kind of aura though. Low key." And he's like, "Low key, that'd be like a really cool hero name. The shooting star hero. Ignition." And Mo's just like, and they just like do that together, and Inko's just laughing at them, and Toya's like, "Yo, that's fire!" He dabs him up, and so then after this, Izuku gets discharged literally within an hour. He literally just passed out. Yeah, like he just needed to wake up, sign some papers, and he gets to go home. So he finds out that they're on a 2-week long extended break for UA because of the fact that they got attacked by villains, and They want to give families time to recover and say hi to their kids and love them and, you know, do the things. Like, be happy that they're okay, you know? So, what I can see happening on this 2-week-long break is Izuku's like, hey, Mo, how about I take you out? Like, let's go on a date. And she's like, duh, I'm so down for that. So they go on a date, and I'm gonna say he takes her to some like he takes her to like this like Aura place, and like he takes her to this like 5-star restaurant. Then they go do an activity, and then at the end of the day, he does what he promised her. He takes her to the cleaned up Dagobah beach. They sit on the beach together and they watch the sunset, and then they lay down and watch the stars. Y'all gotta say that's order though. That's order though. Now, the next week rolls by. I'm gonna say they did that in the first week, and they're officially dating now. And you know, so I'm going to say they start school, and the school day starts, and Mo's just like sitting like on his desk, like in front of him, just talking to him, and Toya's just leaned up against the wall with Bakugo sitting at his desk, feet on the table, not really caring. Ida coming in, doing the same thing he does at the start, and Deku just looks at him like, dude, chill. And Ida's like, all right, cool. And he goes sits down. So what I can see happening now is Aizawa walks in the classroom, everybody takes their seats, and he's like, all right, guys, so if y'all have, well, since y'all are here, I'm sure y'all have heard about the UA Sports Festival and how we do one every year. Well, it's happening in a week. And Deku's like, isn't that kind of like bad timing considering the fact that we just got attacked by villains? Doesn't that give them like a perfect opportunity to attack the school again? And he's like, yeah, but we kind of just want to show the world that we're not afraid of a few villains. Like, we're gonna take them out, we're gonna take care of them. We want to show the world that. And Deku's like, all right, cool. So oh god, I can't stop yawning today. But alright guys, middle of the video checkpoint. I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. I hope that y'all are keeping yourselves safe and that y'all are loving the video. If you guys like the video, like it. If you guys dislike it, then dislike it. Please subscribe, because you can always unsubscribe later. Turn on that post notifications bell if you like this video, so that way you can get notifications for when I post again. AKA tomorrow, y'all should be expecting a Ben 10 video. What? Who said that? That wasn't me. That wasn't me. If y'all are listening and y'all have tuned in this far, type Ben 10 down in the comments. I'm excited for it. I hope you guys will be too. But that's like a little bit of a sneak peek for what's coming tomorrow. So yeah. So now let's get back into the video. So over the next week, Deku kind of just goes and he tries to figure out that power that he had, that kind of full hybrid, or that full form of Phoenix, and because he heard about it from Toya and Bakugo and how they had saw it, and he was like, okay, I don't know anymore. And he's like, so he's just like, oh well. And so over the next week, he's trying to understand it, but he just cannot get it. So he's like, oh well, I guess it's like a small like awakening thing that I had. And so after the full week of training and preparing for the sports festival, Deku goes to school the next day and he puts on his gym uniform. And I'm going to say that oh god, I have to come up with this. He walks out of the gate with all of his classmates, with all of the people. There was flashback to that week, 2 days before the sports festival, like that Friday, that Thursday, Wednesday. We're going to say it happens on Wednesday, the sports festival is on Friday. Class 1B, the support course, the business course, everybody in the entire school of like the first years are crowding around the 1A classroom, and Deku's just like, do I really have to deal with this? And Bakugo is like, just gonna walk through, and Bakugo's like, I'm just gonna walk through them. And Deku's like, you want me to join you? And he's like, yeah, that's Aura. And Deku, he just creates this little like flaming aura around them that like stops people from getting too close to them, and he just walks through the crowd. Like, honestly. And he's just like, if y'all are this petty to the point where you guys have to crowd around our classroom, y'all should just give up now. Y'all aren't gonna beat us. I promise you. Not a single one of you 1B, not a single one of you support course, not a single one of you business courses are going to be on that top number 1, 2, and 3. I can promise you that. I will make it a personal goal. And everybody's scared. And he's like, you know what? Challenge me. I challenge you all. Try and get on top of that podium. I dare you. You ain't doing it. You want to know why? Because it's going to be me. I'm going to take all 3 spots. And they're just like, wait, what? And Bakugo's like, wait, what? And everybody's just like, wait, what? And he's just like, okay, my bad, y'all. I got too overzealous. My bad. I take blame. And he's just like, but I do mean it, though. Y'all ain't getting on top of that podium. Because that's going to be me. And it's going to be my boys. Like, y'all ain't doing that. Like, y'all ain't winning. And, so they're just like, so they walk through the crowd. Mo, Bakugo, Deku, Todoroki, Toya, Uraraka, Momo, like they all just walk through. Like I'm just gonna say all of 1A just walks through the crowd. And then so it was just Deku flashbacking to that. As he's walking through the gate to the courtyard to where they're going to be holding the sports festival. Now, I'm gonna take a little breath because I've been talking really fast, not really taking a break. So, what happens next is Midnight is like, are you all ready for our annual UA Sports Festival? And everybody just starts going crazy, and she's just like, but before we get started, as we always do, we're gonna give the mic to the person who scored number 1 for all of the first years on our entrance exam. Give it up, everybody, for Izuku Midoriya! And he walks up to the stage, and he's just waving to the crowd with a smile, and he's just like, yo, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? And he's like, and he tosses the mic up in the air, and he flaps up in the air, like he flames on, flapping up into the air, and he's just like sitting up in the air, like walking on fire, and he's just like, look, everybody, I want us all to go plus ultra, but I need you all to know this. I'm gonna be number 1. I'm gonna win, but I would love to see you all try, but I'm gonna be the winner. You want to know why? Because I am going to go plus ultra. And he lifts his hand up in the air, he shoots a fireball, and it explodes into like, if y'all saw on the thumbnail, that little phoenix that I have, it explodes into that, and he's just like, because I am going to be the one to win. And he lands on the stage, and he puts the mic back, and he's just like, and he just gives a little bow, and he walks back to his girlfriend, and he walks back to his friend. He's like, yo, was that Pete, guys? He's like, and everybody's just like dapping him, like, yeah. And Midnight's like, what a passionate, oh my goodness. And she's just like, everybody give it up for our number 1 student. According to him, of course. Let's see what the other students can do, though, in our first event, in the relay race. And they all line up, and Deku's just like, yo guys, y'all mind if I just like blitz? And Baku's just like, dude, that's just unfair. You can fly. That's just unfair. And he's just like, too bad. So the race starts, and Todoroki tries freezing the entire tunnel. Deku creates a flame aura around the tunnel, stopping Todoroki from doing that. And he just holds his eye down, like his eyelid down. And he sticks his eye like, nah. And Deku's just like, flame on. And he just, boom. He creates a sonic boom, blasting everybody backwards. And he just flies, and by the time everybody can stand up, he's already a quarter done with the race. He does that same drill thing through a 0-pointer, stopping it. And Bakugo's just like, oh, that's so aura, though. And everybody's just shocked. They're doing the Miles face, the Miles Morales face, like, I know y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry. I love my meme references. I love it. I love my brain rot. What can I say? Now, he so as soon as everybody gets a quarter done with the race, this man is already 2/3 of the way done. Like, he's so much faster than all of them, and he's just like, oh. And he gets to the minefield, and what he does is he sets off all of them. Like, actually, no. What I'm gonna say he does is, since he's so far ahead, he gets to the minefield, he digs up all of the mines, and he just places them in the tunnel behind him, and like he just stops an inch before the finish line, and he's just like, oh, I'm about to do it to him. And he sees Bakugo, Todoroki, and Toya all just like running into the like about to run into the tunnel, and he's like, hey, y'all might want to watch out. And he holds up two fingers like in a gun formation, and he's just like, pow, and it explodes all of the mines. And Todoroki, Bakugo, and Toya are just like, what the? And they just get blasted back. Now, then I'm gonna say Deku just, you guys know if y'all like Blue Lock, y'all know the Lavenho, like after he heals the ball and he does that little bow, he does that crossing the finish line. And he just does a spin, and he walks through, and he's just waving to the crowd, and he's just like, hey, 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 and he's just waving to the crowd, and he's like, yeah, that's me. I won that, and I would have won it faster, but I wanted to troll some people. That's the vibe he's giving. And finally, Bakugo, Todoroki, Toya recover, getting second, third, fourth, and Mo gets fifth, and then everybody else scores again. So, next up, we're going to have the cavalry battle. And because I don't feel like covering it, I'm going to say that Deku just asks if he can be on a team with just 2 people. And Midnight's like, I suppose so, but you wouldn't want to be on a team with others. And he's like, nah, just me and my girlfriend is fine. And she's just like, okay. And Mo wears the headbands around her neck, and he's just giving her a piggyback ride, and he's just like he just puts her on his shoulders, and he's like, you ready? And she's like, oh, as ready as I'll ever be. And he's just like, flame on, boom. And he just goes up into the sky, and he nobody can touch him. Like, there's only like 2 people that could touch him, and that's like Monoma if he copied his quirk, or if Bakugo decided that he wanted to. Maybe Todoroki if he created that like an ice slide up to him, but that's not how physics works. So, you know, everybody is just like, dang, this kid is crazy. He just won the cavalry battle by like getting first place by just doing nothing. That's kind of aura though. And everybody's just going crazy in the crowd. And next up, we have the battles, like the 1v1s. And I'm actually going to say it's going to be the same fights as in canon. So Deku and Shinso first. Sorry guys, I gotta take a breath. We've got Deku versus Shinso. And we're going to say that Deku in this version is actually able to hold his mouth, and he's just like, and he kind of just like wanting to end this fight as fast as possible. I think he would just flap towards Shinso, and he would just kick him in the stomach, kick him out of the arena, and be like, all right, fight's over. And everybody would just be like, wait, did he just end the fight in 2 seconds? And the whole crowd just goes like completely crazy. And the next fight is, hold on. Let me look up the fights. That way I can create something that I actually want to do really quick. Hey guys, so, alright, so I'm just gonna make up. So we're going to do, for the next fight, Toya versus Shoto. So in this fight, we're going to say that Toya, knowing that since he doesn't have Deku's help, I feel like he's going to be like, alright, but I can only go for this amount of time. And he's telling Shoto this, and he's like, but I can't go any longer because I'm going to burn myself, and I don't want to burn myself. So it's Shoto versus Todoroki, or it's Todoroki versus Todoroki. And the fight starts off, and honestly, I feel like Toya just trying to end this fight fast would launch a huge, like, and I'm talking huge, just fireball at Todoroki, and Todoroki would match it with another fireball, causing a orange fire and blue fire clash, causing a little bit of an explosion. And during that explosion, Todoroki or Shoto, what he would do would be he would launch an ice geyser, freezing his brother in the ice, incapacitating him, stopping him from continuing the match. And he's like, hey, you won fair and square. I didn't even get my time limit, did I? And Shoto is just like, nah, man, you didn't. And Todoroki just undoes the ice, and he walks off the arena with his brother, and everybody's just like, oh my goodness, what a fight. It ended so fast, but it was so passionate. The two brothers. And Endeavor in the crowd hearing this being like, wait, brothers? What do you mean brothers? And he looks at Toya and he's like, wait, Toya? Toya Todoroki? And immediately he knows that he's sending an offer to Todoroki, or Toya, I mean. Now we have Denki versus Ibara, which would go in canon. Mei versus Ida, go in canon. Mina versus Aoyama, go in canon. Until we get to Bakugo versus Uraraka. Instead of it being Uraraka, it's going to be Mo. The fight would go kind of similarly to where Bakugo is and Bakugo would actually be like, yo, Izu, how hard do you want me to go? And he's just like, dude, go all out. Don't underestimate her. She's more powerful than you think. And Mo hears this and she's like kind of like happy that Deku didn't say go easy, or and Bakugo's just like, alright, fine. And Bakugo is like kind of bullying her, but like at the same time going a little bit less than all out, just so that way he doesn't like hurt her. But I would say it'd be a really cool match of like Mo throwing fire at him and he exploding it up and causing like a little like firework type of explosion, and everybody being like, whoa, that's kind of cool. And everybody kind of just is like, whoa, ooh, you're bullying the poor girl. And he's just like, shut up, I talked to her boyfriend before this, he said this is fine. And he's like, Mo, I'm sorry, I'm ending this. And he just pops an explosion in her stomach, causing her to go, ugh, and she just passes out. And he's like, I'm sorry. And Dexter's just like, nice job, Bakugo. And he like helps Mo up, and he carries her to the gate, and Deku's just like, I got this from here. And he takes Mo like carrying her bridal style, and he flames on and he covers her in his flames, and he's like, it's okay, and he heals her. So the next fight would be Deku versus Shoto. This time, instead of I would say that he kind of does the same thing that he does to Shinso, kind of like just flying at him, dodging his ice, this time actually having to dodge stuff and maneuver midair, doing circles around him, causing a flame tornado, where Shoto, in order to block this, causes an ice geyser to go straight up, Deku flying straight up and then crashing down, doing that same spin thing that he did to the 0 points, but he does it to Todoroki, drilling through his ice, hitting him, and he knocks him straight in the face, and essentially just knocking him out. And the fight then is announced to Izuku being the winner. Then we have Ibara versus Ida wins. Mina versus Tokoyami wins. Then we have Kirishima versus Bakugo wins. Now we have Deku versus Ida. I would say the way that this would go would be Ida would try, like Deku would just fly up in the air, completely just shutting down Ida. Like he would make Ida reciprocal burst and then make him fall out of the arena, just kind of making a fool out of him. And next what I would see happening would be, no, Ida would have left. Yeah, no. So Ida won, or Deku won by default because Ida would have left. Then we have Tokoyami versus Bakugo wins. Then we have Deku versus Bakugo, the long-awaited rivalry, and it's not going to go how you expect. So the way this goes is, what I could see happening is Cemento saying, begin! And Bakugo and Deku immediately just launching at each other, and Deku hits him up in the air, flying at him, and they just start having an air clash. Like, I'm talking air clash like Dragon Ball Z air clash. And he just starts going, they both just start going, like, wailing on each other, going crazy. Like, the only real parts of their quirk they're using is just to keep them up in the air. Deku flaps up a little bit higher than him, knocking him straight down to the ground, flapping at him, and then he goes up to him and explodes on him. Pause. So he flies down, explodes flames on him, Sorry, I had to correct myself there. For my older audience, he he causes an explosion of flames, hitting Bakugo, and causing Bakugo to heat up. This causes Bakugo to sweat more, so that way he pops a huge explosion in the air, exploding Deku like higher up in the air. Deku just landing, and they're kind of just walking towards each other now, and they just start like just going like just pure just like hands, no quirks, just hands. And then Deku's just like, yo, I'm just gonna end this now, okay? And Bakugo's like, wait, what? And he just punches him in the diaphragm, punching him up into the air and launching a fireball at him, knocking him out of the arena. And Deku stands up on the first place podium. Bakugo stands on the second place. Todoroki it would be Todoroki and Tokoyami standing on the third place. As in canon, just after this, I would say they have like a week of just like classes, and then they have internships. Where what I could see happening is Deku has internships from everyone. Like, I'm talking everyone. But the one that sticks out to him the most is Endeavor. And he sees that Toya has an Endeavor as well, and so does Bakugo. Bakugo, Toya, Shoto, and Deku and Mo all have internships from Endeavor. And they're like, yo, we gotta take this. It's the number 2 hero. So they all take it, but they all say, okay, they all go to Endeavor. And what I can imagine happening is Midnight walks in the room and is like, all right, everybody, it's time for you to pick your hero names. And Deku immediately, he stands up and is like, I got mine. And she's like, ooh, okay, what passion? And he walks up and he's like, so it was a toss-up, but I think I'm going to go with the Phoenix hero, Ignition. And she's like, ooh, that's tough. Everybody's like, ooh, that's tough. And he was like, it was a toss-up, because I either wanted it to be Ignition or Shooting Star. And everybody's like, ooh, that's rough. That's a hard pick. And he's like, but I chose Ignition because I can ignite my body, obviously. And they're like, okay, fair enough. That's smart. And everybody just goes with hero names that they do in canon. Toya choosing Dabi, because he just likes the name. I don't know. I don't know anymore, guys. I'm kind of just going up with this as I go, obviously. What I can imagine happening during the internships, though, is the group goes to Endeavor, and within the first few days, they kind of just test firepower and figure out how to make their fire more potent, or make their fire less potent and gain control over it. This actually really helping Dabi, so that way he doesn't always burn himself. Then we have the Hosu City arc, where they go to Hosu and Deku. I would say none of them really find out about Ida, but Deku's has this just bad feeling. And I feel like Deku would be flying over the city, and he would be hearing clinking and clashing of metal against concrete, and he would fly down and he would see Hero Killer about to kill Ida. And just in the nick of time, I'm talking, the blade was about to hit Ida's neck, and this man kicks Stain into the wall. He swoops down, kicks this man into the wall, picks up Ida and Native, healing them, flies them out of the alleyway, sets them down, and then jumps in the middle of Stain and is like, so you must be the Hero Killer, huh? And he's like, you protected those fake heroes before you came after me. You might be a real hero after all. However, you got in my way from killing those fake heroes. That means you must die. And they both just start fighting, and Deku's kind of just whoa, dang, okay, boy, okay. And he just lands a punch on Stain, and he sends him flying, crashing into the wall. And Ida's just like, Izuku, this is my fight, not yours. Get out of here. And Deku's just like, dude, chill. Just chill. You were about to die. What do you mean this is your fight? Bro, oh my goodness. And you do realize all you had to do was ask, I can probably heal your brother. And he's like, wait, what? And Stain's like, wait, you can heal? And he's like, duh. And And Deku, kind of what he does is he does that same like tornado thing. Like he flies out of the alleyway, grabs some rope. He does that same tornado thing, just wrapping Stain up in rope. And then he flies into the precinct and he's like, "Yo, I got a hero killer on Prime delivery from Amazon. Is this y'all's?" And everybody in the police station just go, "What?" And he just sets him down and he's like, "Oh, my name's Izuku Midoriya. I'm with UA High School. No, I did not use my quirk to hurt him. I used my hands. There's a difference." And he flies out and he's just like, "Oh, by the way, there's 2 people that were injured. I'm taking them to the hospital. See y'all." And he flies out, takes Native and Ida, takes them to a hospital outside of Hosu. Just like the next city over, that's like the closest city. Then he comes back, helps with the Nomus. I would say the casualties would be equal, but a little bit minimal because of the fact that Izuku was able to fly them out of there. Next, we have them all coming back and returning to school. I would say the only thing that would be different would be the police dog would come to Izuku's house and he would be like, "So you took down the hero killer?" And he's like, "Yes, sir, I did. I will forewarn you now, before you give me the speech, I did not use my quirk to incapacitate him. I used my hands." And he's like, "Regardless, you used your quirk in a public space, so I have to give you the speech." And he gives him the speech, and Deku's kind of just like toning it out. And the dog is kind of just like, "All right, thank you for turning him in. However, and I know you would be a really helpful asset. However, I'm just going to let you off with a warning. However, don't do it again, even though I know you probably will." And Deku's just like, "Yes, sir, I definitely will." So after this, we have everybody returning to school, including Ida. And Ida has this like kind of newfound respect for Izuku, but like also kind of this like kind of hatred towards him because he stepped into something that was his business, not like, and that he didn't ask him to step into. And he didn't have that like, because Deku wasn't in the hospital with him, so he didn't have that like talk with him, you know? And he kind of realized that like, dang, he kind of just stepped in on my fight. Like, I don't know how to take this. So Aizawa walks in and says, "So I hope you all learned something from your internship. I know some of y'all had an eventful time." And he looks at Izuku knowing that he's the one that took down the hero killer, and he's just like, "Yeah, some of you had an eventful time." And Izuku's just like, and he pulls his shirt like out away from his neck and he's like, "Oof." And he's like, "So guys, next month you guys have final exams. Remember, don't just train your minds, you also have to train your bodies." So I would say, and he's like, "Well, that's it for the class today. I don't really have anything else to teach you for today. I know that you all are probably tired from your internship, so y'all can just be dismissed and enjoy the rest of your day, because I'm going to sleep." And he just passes out under the desk. And Deku's just like, "Yeah, Mo, you want to go on another date?" And she's like, "Yeah." And they go on a date, and you know, they I would say they do a little bit of different stuff. Like they go on a movie date, and he takes her home, and they kiss goodnight, and he goes to his house. Then what I can imagine happening would be the next day in school, they learn everything, and Momo offers for everybody to come to her house and study. Deku takes this offer. Like, he is like, "Okay, I need this. I'm strong enough. I just need to know the practical exam." So Mo comes, Baku, everybody from 1A goes to her class, except for like the people that didn't in canon. Uh, but I feel like like the group that Deku has, like y'all know it. I don't think I have to re-say it. They all go to Momo's to study, and except for like the people that don't in canon. But I think a lot of people did. But anyways, everybody passes, except for those that don't, as in canon as well. Then we have the physical portion of the final exam. I'm going to say, I don't really feel like covering everybody else's. I'm just gonna say it's Todoroki, Toya, Momo, and actually I'm gonna say Todoroki and Toya, Mo, and I'm actually gonna put her with Ida. Then I'm gonna put Bakugo and Deku. I don't feel like covering anybody else's but Bakugo and Deku because they're fighting All Might. So what I can imagine happening is Deku would be like, yo, Bakugo, Kachan, you want to fight this dude? And he's like, duh. And he's like, all right, bet. You get the back, I get the front. And he's like, pause. And he's just like, so I'll flank from behind or above and you go from the front. And he's just like, yeah, of course, man. So Deku, immediately starting the fight, flies above the city, like way above. And he looks, and All Might sees this, and he's just like, is that a shooting star in the middle of the day? That's Izuku! And he just sees Izuku just coming crashing in from above, like causing this huge explosion. And, but like he's minimizing the damage to the city. And he crashes into All Might. And as he does this, he sees All Might's injuring. He's like, and he actually, what he does is he kicks All Might into the wall, incapacitating him, like knocking him out and causing him to go into a Small Might form. And before Bakugo can come over, he wakes up All Might and he's like, yo, do you want me to heal you? And All Might's just like, wait, you can heal this? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I can. And Deku he explodes something, causing Bakugo to like have to like flinch backwards, and in the dust cloud he just sees this like blue glowing light, and All Might stands up in his prime All Might form, and he's just like, I feel much better now, thank you, young Midoriya. And he's just like, and All Might's just like, but seriously, I did not know you could heal. I mean I did know, but I didn't know you could heal this much. And he's like, dude, you know Ingenium, or Ida's older brother, I could heal him, but I feel bad because, I don't know, Ida doesn't really like me right now because I stepped into his business. Anyways, do you want to like hit me like not too crazy hard, but like enough to send me back to Bakugo so it looks like you caused a stress out? And he's like, yeah, sure. So he does that, and Bakugo catches Izuku, and he's like, yo, what happened? And he's like, I don't know, man, that was weird. And All Might stands up and he's like, these weights don't slow me down nearly as much as I thought. And he just rushes at the two, and Izuku dodges, he punches him, and I'm going to say the way this goes is Bakugo gets kind of just Bakugo gets captured, and Deku has enough time to flee. So we're going to say that they both pass, but it's because Deku fled with Bakugo. And because All Might didn't really care if they fled, he just didn't want to lose the battle. Even though Deku very much so could have won, even in Prime Might form, but he would need his full Phoenix form, which makes him pass out. So I just didn't feel like doing that. Man. Everybody, take a break for a second. Let's all take a breather. Get some water. Get something to drink. You know, get you a snack. You know, you gotta get those refills, man. I hope y'all are enjoying so far, because I know I'm enjoying making it. But everybody, I'm gonna take a small break. I'm gonna go get me a drink and talk to the girlfriend. Y'all, if y'all just like go get some snacks, this is your time. Go get a drink. I'll be back. So, over the course of the next week, Aizawa tells them to get some papers signed by their parents again, and that they're going on a forest, like they're going on like a little forest like training, yet also kind of like relaxation spot. And they're like, ooh, that sounds fun. And so they all get their papers signed, and they all bring them back. And after this, what I can see happening is I can actually see them all getting their papers signed. They all get on the bus, and what I can see from here on the top of the cliff, what I can imagine happening is the cliff would start collapsing, and Deku would flame on and fly, and he would just like fly back up to the van and be like, yo, what are we doing? And Aizawa would be like, go down with your classmates and make it to the camp. And he's just like, can I just fly there? And he's like, I can't stop you, but you don't want to help your classmates? And he's like, oh yeah, you're right. So he flies down, I would say he grabs his girlfriend, and he flies to the camp, and that's it. And he's like, yo, Bakugo, Toya, if you guys don't make it there within 30 minutes, y'all are sore losers. or like he's like there, he says, y'all are rotten eggs if you guys don't make it there in 30 minutes, and he flies there and he makes it like before the van even does. And Bakugo and Toya are just like, oh, that dude, and they just immediately start just like not caring about the monsters anymore. They just like fully run towards the camp, them making it, I would say, in about 45 minutes. The rest of the classmates, because they don't have the help from their class, from their like most powerful classmates, I would say it actually takes them like an hour longer than it does in canon. And they're all just sitting there, like Mo and Deku are just talking. Bakugo and Toya, like whenever they make it through the forest, run up to him and be like, yo, what was that? You didn't want to take one of us? And he's like, nope. I knew y'all make it. Hey, where's the rest of our class? Y'all didn't help. You guys didn't help them get through? And he's like, wait, what? We were supposed to help them? And he's like, of course. And Aizawa's just sleeping, and the rest of the class finally comes like 6 hours later. Or like, I guess I should say 5. So 5 hours later, the rest of the class shows up and it's already like almost dark. And so what I can imagine happening is Aizawa being like, since some of your classmates didn't want to help the rest of y'all, they'll get extra training tomorrow. Now, with that being said, you all go enjoy your meal. And Koda's standing there. Deku kind of just takes note of him, like giving him a nod and being like, yo, what's up? And Koda's kind of just surprised that he made it so fast. Like he didn't really like care. Like he just made it, but he brought somebody with him. And this kind of like gives Koda like a respect for Deku. But what I can imagine happening is later that night, Mineta goes trying to go to the hot springs. Or they're all at the baths, and Mineta tries climbing the wall, however, and Koda falls, except this time Deku catches him by flying, and he takes him inside and makes sure that he is okay, and he finds out about his parents, and he's like, dang, poor kid. And Koda wakes up seeing Deku and is like, what are you doing? Wait, where am I? And he's like, you're inside. You fell off the wall. Don't worry. You're okay. You didn't hurt yourself. I actually caught you before you like hit the floor. And he's like, wait, you did? But why? And he's like, because I wanted to save you. And so Koda is just like not really understanding it, but he's like, okay, thank you. And he walks out of the room, and then the next day rolls around, and Deku, what I can imagine his training would be, is trying to get back to that full Phoenix form. And yeah. So I'd say it's just like, it's also like a lot of him like working on his like fire control and being able to like control the heat, as well as trying to get that full Phoenix form, I would say. And then everybody trains how they do in canon. Toya training to not burn himself as much, so controlling his flame potency, and Todoroki training to try and use both at once, and Bakugo training to open up his sweat glands even more. Mo, I feel like she would train on physical, like just like becoming more physically adept, because her quirk is pretty basic, honestly. 1B comes and they do the training that they do in canon. So I would say next what happens is that night Deku follows Koda to the rock statue and is like, hey kid, how you doing, man? And Koda's just like, get away from me. How'd you even know I was here? And he was like, don't worry about that, man. But I did bring you some food. I made it myself, so you don't have to worry about it tasting like booty. And he was just like, thank you, I guess. And he's just like, I'll just leave you here. Don't worry. I'm not going to press you. And he just sets the food on the floor and he just walks back. And he's like, wait, what was your name again? And he's like, oh, my name's Izuku. Don't be afraid to call out if you need help of any kind. And Deku just walks back, and actually he just goes to sleep. The next day they have the same thing, except they figure out that they're going to be doing the haunted woods thingy majig. I don't really know, but that's what they're doing. And Deku, realizing that Koda wasn't anywhere to be found, he's like, maybe he's just back at the rock formation. So he's like, he'll be fine. All of a sudden, he hears a scream from Koda saying, Izuku! And Deku immediately, flaming on, flies over there, and he sees Muscular and about to crush Koda. And he kicks Muscular with like all of the force in the world into the rock formation, causing the rocks to crumble on top of him. He picks up Koda, flying him back to Aizawa, saying, "Stay here, I'll go back and handle him." He flies back to Muscular and he's like, "What were you doing trying to hurt that poor kid? He's already been through enough." And he's just flying in the air, and Muscular's like, "So the little birdie came out to play, huh? You're on Shigaraki's kill list. So, this is gonna be fun." And he's like, "Kill list? Shigaraki? What are you... Oh, you guys are the League of Villains. So, you want to tell me more? It would be very useful to know after I hand you your butt on a silver platter. Now, let's get started, shall we? What's the point in continuing this talking?" Deku immediately flames on even more, trying to access that full Phoenix form, knowing that this is going to be a rough fight. He kind of gets to it, but he's just unable to do it. Muscular throws a rock at him, trying to get him out of the air. Deku weaves and dodges, and he just like flies up really high and then crashes down again. But Muscular catches him by the throat. Same with what the Nomu did. And he's like, "Oh god, this does not feel good." And Deku causes an explosion, causing Muscular's muscle fibers to burn. Like, I'm talking burn. And Muscular's like, "Ah, dang, kid." And he's just like throws him into the wall, and Deku just barely able to open up his wings, stopping him from hitting the wall. He flies up in the air again, launching flames upon flames upon flames upon flames on Muscular, and then he starts doing the tornado thing, but higher up in the air, so that way he can't get grabbed, because he learns from his mistakes. So he causes a tornado around Muscular, dropping bombs on him, basically, with flames, and causing them to explode and burn his muscle fibers. And Muscular, unable to get out of this vortex that Deku is causing, what he does is, he flies up really high into the tornado, and then he comes crashing down, causing a massive shockwave, exploding Muscular into the wall again, knocking him out. Deku, using his flames, actually wraps him up in his flames, controlling it, and he carries him to Aizawa by flying him there. And he's like, "Aizawa, this guy is really dangerous. Make sure he does not go anywhere." And Aizawa's like, "Okay, kid, what are you going to do?" And he's like, "I'm going to go help our classmates, because I know they can't handle these villains alone." And he's like, "So you'll help your classmates with villains, but you don't want to help your classmates through the forest?" And he's like, "Well, they can handle that. I know they can't handle this." And he's like, "Fair enough." Deku immediately goes flying, and he sees Tokoyami going crazy. He just sees Dark Shadow just going absolutely mental, and he drops a bomb and like just on Dark Shadow, causing a light enough for Dark Shadow to recede. And he wraps a bracelet around Tokoyami and Dark Shadow of flames, and he walks with them. Or he just does that, and then so he's depleting energy just a little bit by doing that. And so then he finds Toya and Bakugo walking together, and he's like, "Toya, he's in danger. We need to go, like, now." So he picks up Toya and Bakugo, flying them both to Aizawa, keeping them there. And then as he's flying through the air, like going back towards the Wild Wild Pussycats, he actually sees Compress flying through the air, and he's like, "Who are you?" And I haven't seen you before. And Compress is like, "Oh, you must be the bird. Hi, I'm Mr. Compress." And he reaches his hand out trying to compress him, and Deku does circles around him, stopping him from being able to do it, crashing Compress into the ground. Then he ties him up, and he takes him to Mr. Aizawa, and because Compress isn't a very durable character, he's just really good with his quirk. So I don't see if he can't focus on you enough to compress you, then I don't see how he would win that fight. But he would take him to Aizawa, and he would hear screams. He would hear Mo screaming. He would immediately fly there, and he would see Mo, Uraraka, and Suyu all fighting with Toga, and he's just like, "Yo, y'all are struggling with this, babe? Y'all are struggling with this? Like, babe, come on, you got this." And Mo's just like, "Wait, what? Oh, hey, Izu." And she just like knocks Toga out and goes and hugs her boyfriend, and he's just like, "Take her to Mr. Aizawa and then just do things from there." And they're all like, okay. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna go help the rest of our classmates. And so he flies over to the Wild Wild Pussycats, and he's just like, and he sees like nobody there because they all got teleported away by Kurogiri. But he sees the Wild Wild Pussycats like really injured. So what he does is he heals them all, and he's on like very bare minimum energy now. So he flies over to Aizawa like really fast, and he's like, Aizawa, I don't have any energy left. I'm gonna pass out soon. So he deactivates his flame that he had on Tokoyami because he was coming into the light now, and he just sits down next to Aizawa, kind of laying on the floor, and Bakugo, Toya, and Mo all just like sit around him, like making sure everybody else keeps their space from him. And this would lead to a huge success for them. I'm going to say Twice gets captured, Toga gets captured, Compress gets captured, Muscular gets captured. So that's a lot of their forces gone. And then, so ambulances come, police come, and boom. And then the rest, everything happens as in canon, except Bakugo doesn't get captured. So we wouldn't necessarily have that bar fight scene. We would just immediately go to the hideout raid, where All Might being healed would have a easy fight. But like, it wouldn't be easy, but it wouldn't be too difficult. This time winning with more ease because he was fighting him in his prime as opposed to him fighting him a little bit past his prime. So yeah. And then I would say during this time Deku would unlock his full Phoenix Flame. Or actually no. We're going to say that the next day, or like after like a month, or after a week, they figured out that they're living in dorms now. Then they go to class and the Big Three shows up. When the Big Three shows up, Mirio challenges them as per usual. But and the Class 1A actually just gets bodied again. I don't see any possibility of them winning. What I can see happening after this would be that Mirio would be like, yo, Izuku, how about you come with me? Come with me to Sir Night-Eye's agency. Do your internship there. Oh wait, no. Prior to this, sorry, my bad, girl. I was like completely forgetting about the provisional hero license exam. Bakugo would pass, Todoroki would pass. I don't feel like covering it. Everybody would pass, literally. Like, there would be nobody that passed other than like Inasa. Kami would pass because of the fact that she never got taken over by Toga. So it would literally just be Inasa. And then Deku would go to Sir Night-Eye's agency. He would get the stamp from him because of the fact that like he wouldn't really care because Mirio doesn't get one for all, neither does he, because one All Might keeps one for all in this version. And in the foresight that Night-Eye has of the Shiya Hazakai raid, he literally only sees them all winning and living. That's literally all he sees, and he's like, okay. So what I can imagine this happening would be everything happens as to canon pretty much, with like small differences being Mirio wouldn't run off immediately. Deku would be able to follow him. Mirio would never lose his quirk. Then we would have the Deku 100% one for all scene, but instead of him having one for all, he would be his full Phoenix form and he would destroy Overhaul. I would say that yes, Deku would be able to have enough, would actually be able to like wait and not just like be like, all right, I'm fighting Overhaul in the middle of the street. He would know that's not a good idea. So that's kind of just how that goes. And because of the fact that they didn't need to go to the bar scene, Dr. Ujiko would have gotten captured as well, and everybody would have figured out that he was helping All For One. So Shigaraki never would have that transformation, so he would get caught eventually. He would get caught by like Izuku or Endeavor or somebody. And then we have a time skip to when they're adults and Deku and Mo are living together and they're married and they're happy and da-da-da-da-da-da. Anyways, so that was What If Deku Had a Phoenix Quirk. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This video was, I know it's gonna be a long one and I'm gonna have to edit it like right after this. And oh God, my head is already hurting from it. However, thank you all so much for watching. If you guys have tuned in this long, thank you. Genuinely, thank you. You guys are the real ones for sticking in this long. And I just want to say, please, if you guys aren't already and you watch this long, please subscribe. We know that you're going to be coming back anyways. Like the video or dislike it if you didn't like it. However, I don't think you would watch this long if you didn't like it. So like the video, please subscribe, turn on that post notifications because you will be getting a daily upload every single day this week. Again, I can't express this enough. Thank you all for all of the support. So, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe, be blessed, have a wonderful week.